Alright, hello again, this is Jeff Scott, and as promised I'm going to be going over the 11 different tutorials that are in webgeeks.com under the Bootstrap section. I'm taping in my basement, the acoustics aren't very good in here, so it's going to sound a little tinny for lack of better words. Alright, but I'd like to get started. I'm not going to exactly do these in order. These are the order in which they appear in the tutorial, but I'm going to try to put them into what I consider to be a little bit better order, or a little bit more natural order. So that's what I'm going to do. So this Bootstrap grid tutorial, first let's take a look at what's in here. In this tutorial we're considering a fundamental concept, the grid system. Now the big thing with the grid system on here is everything has to equal 12. So in other words, if I want two columns that are the same size, they should each be 6. If I want one column that's double the other column, it should be 8 and 4, etc. You get that. Alright? So I can break a part of a web page up into 12 equal parts if I want to do that. As it says, the grid classes have predefined classes for easy layout and mix-ins, which I'm not going to go into right now. Alright, now let's look at this under the introduction and basic setup. This is literally the bottom of page 1 on the handout. For proper alignment and padding, rows must be wrapped within a container or a container fluid. Alright, for fixed width and full width. That's the first thing. Secondly, use rows to create horizontal groups of columns. Third, only columns may be immediate children of rows, and content should be placed within columns. 4. Bootstrap offers a lot of classes to set up layouts fast. Classes like the .row class to create a new row, or the .col XS4. The XS stands for extra small, to create a small size column equal to 1/3 of the container. Next, gutters between columns are created via padding. Next, the negative margin is why the examples below are outdented. It is so the content within the grids is lined up with the non-grid content. Next, grid columns are created by specifying the number of 12 available columns you wish to span. I already went over that. You also can set it up so that you've got different grid setups based on the size of the device. Finally, when trying to add more than 12 columns within a row, the extra columns automatically wrap into the new line. Alright, I'm literally going to grab what they have here. It says create a new document and add the following Bootstrap syntax inside of it. So I'm going to grab their stuff here. Unfortunately, when we do this, it looks like it's also copying the line numbers. It's okay, we'll work around that, not a problem. So we've got 19 lines here. We're going to talk a little bit about this before we actually get going. Again, this is a typical type of setup, and even though I have these, and I have them literally on the system because I just unzipped them, I still want to create at least some of them anyway. How many? We'll see as we get going. Don't want to take this long, and maybe not that many. Now, I'm going to have to add or include some files, but before I do that, let's take a look at everything that's here right now. I could run this, but I get some, not errors, but there are things that are missing. So let's just grab this right from the top. It looks like there's 20 lines in here. So you can all see them because they fill up the entire screen. First, we've got our typical doc type. Next, we've got our HTML tag, and again, it's recommended that when you set up an HTML tag in Bootstrap that you set the language attribute to English. Following that is our beginning head tag, and on line 11 is our ending head tag. And in between the two, we have 3 meta tags. The first one sets our character set to UTF, or an 8-bit character code. Alright, the next one is designed to come up with any incompatibilities there are. I believe it's with IE. Next, the meta name equal viewport, content equal width, device width, initial scale equal 1. That's going to allow the responsiveness on the web page to take place. You'll see that very quickly. We then have our title. Alright, and you'll notice here I did leave a blank space up here. Alright, so let's say Bootstrap CSS file, which I don't currently have, but I'll grab it in just a minute. I'll need to create a CSS folder, and I'll put it in there. Alright, and then our ending head tag. Alright, then after that, we've got what? jQuery, necessary for Bootstrap's JavaScript plugins. Well, if you're not using any plugins, of course, you won't need to add that. And I believe that we're not going to be using any plugins until later on in here. Alright. Then finally, include all compiled plugins, or include any individual files as needed. So in other words, that's jQuery for the jQuery stuff, and you might have to override some stuff. Okay, so that's the Bootstrap. What I'm going to do is I'm literally going to just change this. Let's change that to JS jQuery.min, and so we can put this right up here. Then we can put that space back, and then include the plugins. So I'm going to need 3 files for this to work. Again, it would be totally legit if I wanted to for here, and for here. I could also use CDNs, Content Delivery Networks, but I'm not going to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do a file, save as. I'm going to go to my desktop, and under the desktop I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it BS for Bootstrap, not the other BS. Alright, and in there I'm first going to put in fact, I'm going to actually call this one grid.html. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but I'm doing it anyway. Alright, so now I've got to go and find the Bootstrap min CSS, the jQuery min JS, and the Bootstrap min JS. So let me do that right in front of your very eyes. Alright, so right now I can come in here. Where's my BS directory? There it is. And let's see, so I will need a CSS folder in here. I will also need a JS folder in here. Alright, and let's see if I go into my Webcode Geeks and I come in here, the one that I already did, which was the grid example. There's the Bootstrap. So all I really need from here is the Bootstrap min CSS. So I'm going to grab that one and I'm going to copy it there, make sure I grab the right one, Bootstrap min CSS. Over here I need hopefully I've got a JS folder, good. And I need 2 things. I need the Bootstrap min JS, and I'll copy that right there. And the other one isn't there, so I will go out to jQuery.com. Following the Brewers game, they're actually winning. jQuery.com, and download jQuery. And I'm going to go down and find the compressed production version of 1.12.4. Alright. Why is it not letting me highlight all this? I don't know. copy. Let's go into here. I'm going to paste that in. Control home, there it is. And I want to put that in my JS folder. And when I do, I want to make sure that I call it jQuery.min.js. Okay. So JS folder, jQuery.min.js. Now I should be set with everything. All right, I should have all my prelim work done. You can say, well, why didn't you do that beforehand, Jeff? And that's a very good reason, or a very good question, rather. All right. So let's take a look at this grid and see what it looks like right now. Well, I guess not very much, huh? But we do have our files in there. That's a good thing. All right. So we've done all that. If you haven't downloaded Bootstrap, click here and extract the folder. I guess I could have done it there too, huh? All right. Grid options and examples. If you are following along, I'm on page 3 of 9. It says the following table lets you understand the aspects of how Bootstrap creates breakpoints within the grid system. The bottom line is this. You'll notice that it's based on screen size. If it's less than 768, between 768 and 992, greater than 992 and less than 1200, greater than or equal to 992 and less than 1200, greater than or equal to 1200. So you can see how it sets everything up. So it says here in this first example that we have that's on the bottom here of page 3, and it goes on to the next page. It says in this example we're going to use the class col minus md minus, where star is the number, and to show different layouts. First we'll create a 12 column row. Alright, what does that mean? Well, look, we've got one, if you count them, there's 12 of them right there. Alright, so let's grab these. What I'll do is I'll try to go through each one of these, and after I get done going through them, then what I'll do is I'll comment out what we've been working on, or do something like that. Alright, here's the body. So for the first example, let's paste this in. Again, I hate those darn numbers, but not much I can do about it. Hopefully what you're able to see is I'm kind of flattening this out here, is we're going to have 12 of these. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 7. So let me grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them right here. We go down a line and paste them in. So that should give us 12 right there. A little faster than going the other way. So there's those, and then I added these. And we have to change our 2 divs, or end our 2 divs rather. Now, the author says here, in order to get this to work, we'll have to put in some CSS. All right? So, add the following CSS to emphasize the grid. You know what? I don't like the way the author's done that, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab this, and then I'm going to go to my CSS file that I have. Actually, I want to use that CSS file. No, I am going to do that. So I'll put this in here, paste that in, And again, I do my CSS probably different than the way you do your CSS, but you know what? Anyway, it's fine. All right. So what we're saying is if we have an MD, which is a medium-sized device, and it's any of these column sizes, you can see them on your screen. We're setting the background color to whatever that color is, the text color to white, the line height to 5 ems. The whole thing should have a 1 pixel solid white border around it and a height of 5 ems. So let me save that, and I'm going to go to my CSS file, and I'm going to call this one style1.css. All right, my hope is to be able to use this at least the min.js, etc., for all of these. Okay, so I don't have to keep adding them. All right, so we're supposed to look at it and see if it looks like this. So let's try it. Now, before we do, of course, I've got to come back in here, and I've got to add where I've got that link. And we'll call it personal CSS file. So we'll have to add from here style1.css. All right, now let's run it and see if it does indeed look like it does in the book. Okay, so you can see how this is set up. There should be 12 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so that's how we can set up a grid with 12 columns in it. All right, so that's the first example that we're given here. It says in the same way we can define 2, 3, 4, 6, or combinations of 8 and 4 as are shown here. All right, so I will grab this one. Okay, this is going to take a little bit longer to do, but I don't mind. Hopefully you don't. All right, so let's put a comment in here that says 12 column grid layout. Start. And then at the end, we'll put another one here that says 12 column grid layout end. Okay, so we've got all that. That should be good. So that's the first one. No, that's not what I wanted to do. In fact, I wanted to do that and then close it. Close that right up here. So. Like this. Okay, 12 column grid gross start, and I think I've lost a div somehow. I don't know how, but I lost a div. And it's back. So we'll put this here. Paste that in, and that will say that, whoops, come on. So that'll say 12 column grid. Well, I guess I could have taken it right from there, huh? And all right, so and as you can see, my div is wrong, so this has literally got to be moved up a couple lines. Boy, oh boy. there's the 12 start and there's the end. Okay, now I don't need this. I don't need this. But I do want to come back in here, and now with, so that's my first example. So we'll put in here even example 1, 12 column grid layout start. Example 1, 12 column grid layout end. Alright, so that's the first one. Let's go back to back to here, copy that back again. And then let's paste that in. Okay. Alright, I'm going to have to pause for just a second. Apologize. Alright, sorry about that. What I did was I copied in everything. So we had our example 1 where we had the 12 grid rows, and then I put 2 line breaks. Then we've got the other examples where we've got example 2, which are 3 4-column grids and line breaks. Example 3, 4 3 columns in a line break. Example 4, 2 6-column grids and line breaks. And finally, example 5 with 1 8-column and 1 4-column. But 8 plus 4 is 12, 6 plus 6 is 12, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12, 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12, and of course 1 12 times is 12. Now I don't think I've made any mistakes, so let's take a look at what we have here. Alright, there's our first one, our second one, our third one, our fourth one, and our last one. And you can see in those divs the line breaks didn't take, but I think it's still good enough that you can take a look at what's in here and figure out what's happening. Okay. Again, there's the one example, the next example, the next one, and the next one. Alright? Alright. You can define different behaviors based on the device you have the grid for. So the other thing I should show you before we go through those examples is let's take a look at this. Let's bring this up again right here. Now let's take and minimize our browser. And you can see how they change when you get to a certain point. Alright, that's how it would look, literally. That's how it would look on a phone, probably about there. There is what it would look like on a tablet. And again, maybe a little bit bigger than that on a tablet, but there's how it looks on a full-size desktop. All right. The idea, what I'm trying to get across to you, is this is fully responsive. All right. So if we look at the example that's here, what do we have? Well, we've got another div class row. Now notice it says here that we've defined a 2-column layout made of 8 columns. All right. And 4 columns to divide the width for the medium-sized devices. Then we added another one. So in other words, what we have in here are different, this isn't my spelling, all right, we have different sizes based on the device that we have. All right, so I'm going to grab all of this right here. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. And then what I am going to do, all right, so it should look like this when we get done. Okay? But what I want to do is I want to come in here, and where we're doing all this, I'm wondering if I come in here and right there, if I can comment all of this out. No, because it sees that one, and it sees that one. So I can remove that, and it'll fix that much. And then I gotta remove that. And then that. And that. So I'm going to have to read all these ending ones that are here. Okay, almost done. Alright, now what I want to do is I want to come down here, and now I do want that one to be there. So that should end all of that. And then I want to come in here, grab this, as we just mentioned, 15 lines. It shouldn't take that long to put all that in there. And hopefully when we get done it's going to look like this. Now, what I could do is just copy all that stuff over. I literally could, and there would be no problem really doing that, other than when I just copy it over, you're not getting to watch me do what I'm doing here. And hopefully, by doing that, you're getting a little more out of this. Maybe I'm pipe dreaming here, and you are not. But my hope is that you are. So, save it and run it again and see if indeed it's looking the way that it should look. We got an 8 and a 4, and that's for so that's column size 12, okay, right there for a small device, and 8 for a medium device. Alright, so you can see we're mixing and matching. And again, when we come in here, you can already see how it's looking different. Again, when we get down, etc., so you can see what's going on. Alright. You can also, as mentioned here in example 3, which is on the bottom of page 7, it says, what if you want a clear layout that fills up all the row? You can then set up the columns just the way you want using column offsets. For example, if you wanted to create a medium device 3 column and move it to the right, leaving just the same space that equals the width of the column, they show you how to do that here. It says, look at the examples for a better understanding. So let's take a look at, there are 2 more examples in here. We'll put those in, and then we'll put this chapter, for lack of better words, to rest. So ideally it's going to look like this when we get done. See, I believe that working with this stuff, it's not that it's that difficult. It can be a little time consuming, but even more so than that, you have to take your time in whatever you're doing, which again some people don't like to do. So let's save and let's run it, and you can see we've got this, and there's a area of the same size, this, an area of the same size, etc. Alright, let's look at the very last example that's in this. This is nesting columns, so columns within columns. Alright, you can do it by adding another row and then nesting the columns. Alright, nice small example, good. And the good news here is, with what I'm doing, if you want to, you could literally grab all of this and uncomment all of it and look at everything. All right, have it all together. But the idea is what we're doing here, when you think about it, what we're doing here is we are setting this up. So again, here we're going to have a column within a column. I should say a row within a row, I guess. But you can set this up. The old saying is, it's whatever your mind's imagination can come up with. All right, for lack of better words. All right, and if we save this one and run it, okay, and it should look the way that it looks in the handout too. And there it is. So, as it says there, to conclude, Bootstrap's grid is a powerful system. It is fully responsive. You've now seen that. Okay? So, you've got both the addition that I just created and this other one. Okay? So, I'm going to again take this and I'm going to, my style 1 should be finished. I should be able to close that. This thing that's called grid, I want to just grab all of this right here, copy that, and the next one that I'm going to go over is going to be navbar.html. Alright, so let me finish this up. And that should do it for the first of these lectures.